This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.
We're going to start with you right off the bat.
Sure.
Emily from the Massachusetts Commission for the Deaf and Hard of Hearing. Take it away.
Hi, everybody. So I'm Emily Graves Harrison. I've been working at the commission now since 2013. Just a little background about myself. My dad's deaf. My grandparents are. My mom's an interpreter. She just retired. So I've grown up in the community and around MCDHH pretty much my whole life. So when I started, I was a part-time adult case manager, and then I transitioned over as a children's specialist. But I've kind of covered everything in between as well. So I'm gonna pass these around. These just some information sheets, some like really basic statistics and kind of like what we do at the commission. And I believe in a past life, Jen, I worked in the Belchertown house. Yeah, I did. That's right. So who do we serve? We serve anybody who's deaf and hard of hearing. It doesn't, you don't have to have like a decibel or hear a specific kind of hearing loss, just a hearing loss. And we serve anybody from birth until they don't need us and anywhere in between. Currently in Massachusetts, there is about 1 in 5 who actually have a hearing loss of some degree. So it's much higher than folks actually think it is, but it's often overlooked because it's not a visible disability. Currently, we have 1.4 million citizens in Massachusetts that meet that 1 out of 5. In Massachusetts, more than 60% of the people who are deaf or hard of hearing are actually aged 65 or older. Now, what are the different services we offer? One of our biggest programs is our communication access services, which we fondly refer to as our CATS department. And that is our interpreter and CART referral services, as well as ASL interpreters, certified deaf interpreters. Some people don't use sign language interpreters, so they use what we call CART. And that's where you see like the words come up on the screen, but you can do it at a meeting. It doesn't have to be just like captioning on a TV. It can be at a doctor's office, and there's like a third party you don't see, and it shows up on an iPad. Sometimes they are in person and you see them kind of like court telereporters where they're working on their prompters. And you see those at a lot of platform kind of, like if the mayor's speaking or workshops, you might see like another screen pop up where you see somebody typing and all the words are coming up. And that's what CART is. And that works a lot for folks who are late deaf and hard of hearing, who don't rely on American Sign Language, but still need a little help making sure they're not missing everything in between. Now, we also offer, again, it's been a long time since we were able to do this, but we now offer after hours emergency service program. That was done away with, I want to say like 2008, 2009, we lost funding for it. And that was a huge disservice to the community because folks who went into the emergency room, you don't go into the emergency room 9 to 5. You go when the emergency shows up. If you get arrested, it's not 9 to 5, it's whenever you get arrested. So interpreters haven't been on call all these years. So we finally got some funding back. And so there's an emergency number you can call after hours and they'll hook you up with a sign language interpreter or any kind of communication access you need. So that was a huge thing that we just got back this year. And now in terms of our CATS department, that's our communication access training and technology services. A lot of times we get phone calls from folks asking, oh, can you come train my employer? they don't know what it's like having to work with somebody who's deaf or hard of hearing. You get them from schools. You get them fire departments, police departments, any of our sister agencies. And they come out and they provide this basic training on what it's like to interact with a deaf or hard of hearing person. And they also helped launch our visual tools. I don't know if any of you saw them during COVID, but they were handing out like these big cards that they could use for communication with like basic information and pictures. And we also have like the visor cards for your car. So if you get pulled over and somebody's deaf, there was like actually a side that said, I am a deaf person or I'm a hard of hearing person. And it had some basic pictures that you could point, like if you were hurt, just to establish some basic communication between you and the emergency personnel.
Yeah.
We also provide case management. And as I stated earlier, I'm currently the children's specialist. So we serve generally ages birth to they graduate high school.
Yeah.
And that means 18 to 22, wherever you graduate in that interim. Our main focus at that age is communication access.
Yeah.
Whatever is going to work for the child, whether it's an oral approach, a sign language approach, or a total communication approach, which is when you do both. And making sure the families are aware. What are the various styles out there? Kind of interpreting those audiologograms with their doctor and how it fits into their lives. Making sure they have the resources and equipment they need. Alarm clocks, fire alarms, all that stuff. That they're applying for the right kind of benefits, Social Security, Mass Health, anything else. It really tailored to the individual, so it's hard to capture absolutely everything we can do. So I always tell families, just ask, please, because it doesn't mean the answer is no. It means you need something that maybe somebody else didn't. Totally different. And the child's need changes as they age. So things could be really stable for like 7 years. The school's great. The kid's getting everything they need. Not a problem. Then they're 14 and all of a sudden they're switching classrooms all the time. The equipment's not working for them. You know, like, and kids aren't always articulate about it. So instead of saying, hey, mom, I can't hear what's happening in my classroom, they're like, this is stupid. I ain't doing my homework. You know, and then it's like, well, why do you think it's stupid? Well, because I didn't hear what happened.
Right.
Why didn't you hear what happened? Oh, is your hearing aid not working? You know, so we go through all that with them.
Right.
Now, once you graduate, so to speak, from our children's specialist, you can qualify for adult services. And you can qualify for services at any age. It does not, you don't have to start as a child. You can be an adult coming to us for the first time, and that's fine too.
Please join. Someone's joining.
That's fine. So as an adult, things are very different. We also host a contract with Viability, which is right in Holyoke. And they run our deaf and hard of hearing independent living services for us. They do more of the day-to-day deaf and hard of hearing needs, making sure you have that communication access at your doctor's, any kind of appointments you may have. The equipment you need in your home, and if it's an apartment and the landlord's responsible, they can help advocate and explain to the landlord what exactly you need, whether it's strobes or a bed vibrator for your alarm clocks, carbon monoxide detectors, all that. And they also deal more with the legal side of things too. Our case managers do. So if you got in trouble in court or you had a parking ticket that you're appealing, you may get help through our case management department. They can make sure the attorneys and the courts are providing communication access that you are fully understanding. Sometimes there's cultural breakdowns, which is different than a communication breakdown. And that's where our case management department steps in. And in terms of the elderly, same thing. We make sure the nursing homes, your assisted living centers, everybody's able to communicate with you, that you have full access, not just in your home, but being able to get out, social opportunities too. One of our newest programs is our substance use disorder program, which we do with the Department of Public Health. So we've heard of people having issues or substance use with alcohol or drugs. Well, for a deaf or hard of hearing person, having the ability to go to a meeting and having access was really far in between compared to what we needed for the communities in which we serve. So currently, we now have a counselor, a lead recovery coach, and 14 certified addiction recovery coaches working statewide. We have communication access services at meetings and seminars, which include Alcoholics Anonymous, Narcotics Anonymous, Overeaters Anonymous, and all recovery and recovery Dharma. We also offer our recovery support on Zoom meetings, which are held daily, and we are offering over 570 meetings annually with approximately 5,400 participants a year. So that's a lot. We cover just not the deaf and hard of hearing, but late deaf and deaf blind as well. We work closely with the Mass Commission for the Blind to assist them with anything they may need. So yeah, that's like a quick overview of a little bit of everything. I know that's a lot of information.
Can you tell me about the ASL stuff that's now on Zoom? Because one of our members that's not here just wrote me an email and said that Zoom has ASL for any meetings.
What is, I don't know.
Transcribe.
Yeah, that's fine. So yeah, you have to make a request for an interpreter, just like anybody else would. And we can do interpreters on site or via Zoom or any other.
Not through you. So I was told by a member named Danny sent me like an article that said that Zoom just has ASL. It has nothing to do with asking you.
No, I know they do transcribing,
It's live ASL too.
but I was not aware of any live ASL feeds on Zoom whatsoever.
Okay.
That's news to me.
Okay. So
This one.
don't know that one. Okay.
Yep.
And then I was asking about how much it might be or how it might work to do like a, basic sign language training for a group like this.
So that's not something I provide, nor
Right.
that I'm familiar that the commission does either. So at that point, I would,
People you could refer us to.
I would start checking with like Holyoke Community College and their deaf studies program and
Okay.
see if they're aware. I know Carol Ann Smalley's still there, and Claire Sanders that work. Carol Ann Smalley works in the Disability Services Department, and Claire Sanders is the head of the deaf studies program at HCC.
So, question: if someone needed an interpreter for, say, like a city meeting, they could go to you and you would.
You'd make a request using our website.
Okay. But if it, obviously a city meeting isn't an emergency, but it might be out of business hours.
That's okay, as long as the request is coming in during normal business hours.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
The emergency after hours service is only for just that, emergencies that happen outside of the 9 to 5. So that's
Okay,
like, medical crisis, you're in the emergency room. You're arrested. Those things that we can't control. That's what the emergency after hours services is for. Somebody's children are getting removed, a 51A, things of that nature. Those are the after hours. But can you have a request that is for after hours? Absolutely. Our staff interpreters may or may not fill them, but we have a contract with hundreds of interpreters statewide. And we put out the blast like we normally do, our referral department would, and see if anybody wants to take, a 7 to 9 job or whatever it is. So we're used to that. That's fine.
Any
Okay.
question, Rocky?
And is there any fees for
Yes,
that?
yes. So all the fee schedules and everything is right online. Everything has a 2-hour minimum.
Mhm.
For general requests, like non-legal, the rate just went up. It used to be $65 an hour, so it might be like 70 now. So you pay a 2-hour minimum, regardless of how, if you only use the interpreter for an hour, it's still a 2-hour minimum. And then their mileage.
Okay, so I imagine most people would not be able to afford that.
What do you mean most people?
I mean,
Like individuals shouldn't have to pay. So if you want an interpreter for a board meeting, then the city would have to pay, not you. If your doctor, if you need to go to the doctors and you need an interpreter or you need cart services, the doctor has to pay, not the
Okay.
individual.
but the individual would ask you for the service but then you would bill the organization.
So what we would normally tell folks is that they need to ask whoever it is first. So if it's like the city of Easthampton,
Mhm.
they'd ask, and then they would make the request to us.
I see.
We often encourage individuals to contact us and say, hey, last week I asked for an interpreter from the city at this date and time. Can you tell me if the request was made? So that way, the ball didn't get dropped here. But we could still be working on it.
Okay.
Same with the doctors. And that's something we do is a lot of self-advocacy and peer mentoring with our consumers, because we want to encourage themselves to speak up on their own behalves. But at the same time, we know not every doctor and every organization is as cooperative as we want them to be.
I have a question.
Yeah.
It's for the deaf and hard of hearing. So I use all of these things. Not deaf, but I have problems understanding auditory processing. And without it, I can't hear or understand. And that doesn't put it. It's not like. But I need card. I need that. I need all of that.
Absolutely.
But I'm not considered
Deaf.
deaf.
Right. So earlier I had explained is that it doesn't matter what degree of hearing loss you have, the commission can help you. So if you're having auditory processing issues, it's because of some degree of hearing loss you have. It might be a minor hearing loss. You might not be considered deaf,
Special autism.
but you can also qualify as long as you have some sort of hearing loss.
It's not hearing loss, it's
So
special
if it's from autism, it's still protected under the ADA. And that autism is now under our developmental services. Department of Developmental Services is a separate agency.
Yeah, we have them.
Yep, and they can also assist
They
with
have
that.
no adult services.
They don't for autism.
Very good.
Now, the other one is the Mass Rehab Commission.
And if you have any other certain
No.
Nope,
that's what I thought I would qualify for 72.
no, so you might not qualify for, they have different programs over at MRC, right?
Right.
So if you're looking for education, let's say, like you want to go back to school and you were looking for them to fund some of that, then you might make too much depending on what their new guidelines are. I can never follow them. But they still can serve you. They can still make sure you're helping you apply, you're having the access you need.
Yeah, I was told to.
Can you exchange it about or something? And then
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, should I put auto captions up on the screen?
Sure.
All right.
And is there anybody at home that has a question? No.
I have no idea.
No? Yep, Jeff.
Hi, good morning. I don't know if I'm really loud in that room. One question I have is, for a request for a city meeting, do you have a recommended amount of time in advance that a person should request it? Or
Hold on.
can it be accommodated the next day?
Who muted you? Hold on.
Or maybe I did.
Somebody did.
I just pressed down twice. You tried first.
No.
It looks like we're muted on your screen. I don't know.
Oh, sorry.
Hello?
Right.
Can you hear me now?
There you are.
Sorry.
That's okay.
You didn't do it. It was me and Owl.
Who is
Okay,
that?
because I had clicked something exactly when that happened, but apparently, I don't know. Okay.
Okay, start over, sorry.
That's okay. So you didn't hear anything. So I guess my question is for someone who wants to get, for example, an interpreter at a city meeting, do you give guidance as to how far in advance that person should ask for that service?
So I would say at least 2 weeks for all requests that you can. Give us a 2-week
Right.
notice. If it's an ongoing meeting, you can say like, I want one every second Tuesday of the month at 4 to 7 p.m. And you can have an ongoing request in, so you don't have to constantly keep making that request. And you can say, I only want it for the next 3 months or 6 months.
That's helpful. So like quicker than 2 weeks would potentially not be reasonable. So like that's what we have for our definition is a reasonable accommodation. So we just want to make sure that if someone's requesting it, they do give that ample time to make sure that the services can be lined up for whatever the event is.
The more notice, the better, but a minimum of 2 weeks.
We have like 2 minutes left. Are there any other questions?
No, she does,
Oh, yeah,
and it looks
you.
like he does.
Okay, I know a few years ago, cochlear implants was the big thing
Yes.
for the deaf. Has that subsided?
Yes and no. So cochlear implants are a different kind of hearing assistive device, like a hearing aid. And hearing aids you can take on and off. A lot of us are more familiar with those. A cochlear implant is an actual implant
Yeah.
in your head. And it has a magnetic outside piece that attaches to your ear. Not everybody qualifies for one. It depends on your hearing loss and whether you had it post-lingual or prelingual on how effective that will be. That is something you definitely take up with your doctor and you make the decision based on your needs.
It's kind of controversial also.
It can be. It depends. Everybody has their own, right? Everybody's entitled to their own opinions, and
I knew a young person who had it and then had it removed. She didn't like it.
I've had some people be extremely successful with them. I've had some people not wear theirs because they didn't find it that effective. It all depends on the individual and what works for them.
Right.
Safety's way there. I think.
And that's again, another personal choice.
Right. Do we have other questions?
I did do the hearing aid, but not no more.
Oh, no?
I don't like that.
Yeah. Pretty uncomfortable.
Uncomfortable for me.
Yeah.
It can be. You're
Yeah.
getting smaller and smaller now.
Right.
Any other questions? All right, well, thank you for coming in.
Anytime.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank
Here's some
you.
extras in case you guys need those. And any services you may have questions about, we have a contact us right on our website and it sends a direct email. So you guys can always get a hold of us. And Angelique, you have my email information.
Yeah.
So you know how to find me.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We're gonna roll into,
Do we do have public speak?
we have to get through all this and
We
then
do, okay,
at the end we can.
okay.
Yeah.
Let's see, so
Okay.
Jeff Bag. Is he, hi. You don't have an update on anything to do with like the high school, do you? and the like adjustments or whatever they need to make, right?
No, I don't have a good update for you on that. I think it sounded like you were talking to someone at the school department. And I would encourage you to keep doing that until we can line things up better.
So I was not,
Okay. It sounded like,
Yeah, well, I would- so
It was,
she
I will
asked
ask.
me to ask you.
if we had an update, like on the new school and that with the ADA, where we failed on certain aspects.
I was only talking to Jean Libby about the tour.
okay.
So.
Yeah. It shouldn't, we can continue to look at that. It's not something that would be immediate because I think the findings of that ADA plan, it'll take years to fix the problems that we have. And I just don't know how the city is going to deal with it with the school and that contractor. So that's something that's outside of what my area of expertise. So we can continue to ask some questions, but I don't have a good update on that right now.
That's okay.
Sorry.
That's all right. Okay. And speaking of that, I did talk to them about getting into the school to go for a tour.
Mhm.
And so they were mentioning that I think they said October 22nd, there's an open house.
There is, yes.
Yeah, okay. Glad I got the date right. But also, she's gonna continue talking to me about getting in there sooner. So she wrote an email to Superintendent Cochlear. So I'll get back to you guys on that. Because during the open house, she said the special ed classrooms are closed. And so she assumes we'd want to see everything. So trying to work on that. Let's see. So we were going to do some stuff around the survey and subcommittee, but that's put on hold right now, Eli, unless there are some of you that want newer people that want to work with us on the survey information.
Yeah.
Right, Eli?
So
That's where we're at.
So should I give a kind of a,
Sure.
yeah, so.
Yeah.
Right. So last year we did this survey, but none of us, and we formed a committee to work on follow-up on the survey, but none of us really had the skills we needed to write a kind of a report on the data. And then I thought a former member, Kelsey Hall, who I thought was going to be able to help us with that this month, but she's too busy. She can't help us. So reporting on the survey is still kind of up in the air. Yes, Bobby, what?
What, something on the floor.
About the survey?
Yeah, there's.
We'll clean up after.
Okay,
Right,
That I have to do.
okay, we can,
sorry. I'm wondering,
so, I have to figure out do they have to be committee members yet? Commission members to help with the survey? Not yet.
No, I don't
Not
think so.
necessarily.
No.
No, okay, so we'll talk to you about the group and like a date and everything.
Oh, that would be
Yeah.
awesome. Thank you.
What kind of skills are needed?
We're just not sure what to do
Yeah.
with the information, like,
Yeah,
that all the information you've already seen. There's nothing new.
yeah, we have all this information and we need somebody who can help us like figure out like how to summarize it and put together a report on it that would, I don't know how to name the skills, but there are skills, that I don't have.
You do analysis.
How to report on data analysis, I think, is
Yeah.
what it, how to report on the statistical studies.
Yes,
Like paragraph form, in other words.
right,
So, but isn't statistical studies percentages and stuff?
Well, just how the report would look, I think, is what you're saying, right? Like,
Yeah.
What would if a survey agency did this and wrote a report, what would the report look like? And
yeah,
how do you put that into text?
yeah. So I'd
Yeah.
like to make a presentation to the city council on what we got out of the survey, but I don't really know how to do that. I don't really know like what specifically I should tell them is what is most relevant from the survey.
It just got a little overwhelming.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, Jeff Bag, can you just recap what happened at the ribbon cutting? For the trail?
Yep. So we opened the trail on East Street, and it was designed to the Forest Service standards. So there is, it's not ADA compliant. So it is a little bit steeper than an accessible ramp, like at a sidewalk and things like that. But it is designed to support people who use powered mobility devices. So Jenny came, and a couple other people who had electric assist wheelchair. They were able to traverse the trail, with pretty much no problem. So we brought up a group at the top, and we had a couple speakers, and there was a musical trio playing some Irish tunes. But I would encourage everyone, if you haven't been up there, to check it out. We are finding that the parking lot is pretty full. It's pretty popular. I think it's pretty common when you first open a trail or something like this, people are going to check it out. So it's busy, but there are 7 standard parking spaces, and there are 2 van accessible parking spaces, and the parking lot's all paved. The trail has sort of 5 resting areas. So as you're going up, the trail is designed to support people of all types of mobility. So if you're, older and you're not used to hiking, there are these resting spots that are kind of strategically placed. There are interpretive signs at each of the resting spots and a bench. And then there's a loop trail. And, I have been talking to other people, some disability advocates, and what we're trying to do now is build a web page for people to access information about the trail. And what most people have said is that if you have some kind of mobility constraint, you would want to know what would it take. Sort of a non-disabled person might take them 15 minutes to get up to the top, and so the person with whatever their mobility impairment is kind of interprets that and can figure out how long it might take them. And then we're going to put up information about the distance. So the trail is about 2,000 feet long, and then give information about the resting areas so that people can do some of the research in advance. And then something that we should discuss in the future at some point is ways we can make the interpretive signs, for example, more readily available to people. So there could be potential QR codes that would open up another way for someone to maybe listen to a recording of what's on the interpretive signs. So we do want to sort of talk about that kind of stuff moving forward. And then it has come up several times, the idea of a portable restroom. So an ADA compliant portable restroom, but that we did start looking at some of the prices, and it's quite expensive to have those there, but that is something that we should look at in the future. And then the last thing is that we're kind of transitioning the project to the Parks Department. So they'll be the people who maintain the trail over time. And we are talking about a senior tax work-off person who can go up 2 or 3 or 4 times a week and just make sure that the trail's clear and that there's not any branches or rocks or erosion happening, so that the trail's free and clear. So look for, I can send out a link to the webpage that we're building. And if anyone wants to go up there, I would encourage anyone to check it out.
Thank you. You guys have any questions or?
So the trail is officially open now?
Yes.
Correct.
Is Bryce not coming today?
Bryce I can contact Bryce about accessing remotely, but he had he's pretty public about it. He had a planned surgical procedure, on his foot,
Okay.
and he's out of commission for like couple months.
Okay.
Why? Just
just because we need he's a member, so we have to
Oh.
document.
Yeah,
if He's
yeah.
coming or not.
And as far as I know, he's not even doing anything on Zoom yet for Riverside, so.
Okay.
So, I think when he is, we can talk to him about, that stuff.
Okay. What else? Oh, I'm sorry.
Cool.
Almost there. Yes. So the snow PSA. Eli, Jeff and I, we went and we did the recording, and some of you, I'm sure, saw.
It was great.
It was nice too, yeah.
Yeah, it was great.
You were very animated. I didn't realize it was you.
Well, that's how I read. Did you guys want to say anything about it, Eli or Jeff? Bag.
I see that Molly raised her hand.
I just thought you struck a really good tone. It was very pleasant.
Thank you. This is me hiding.
Right.
Yeah.
It was fun, but nerve-wracking, but fun.
Oh, is that, okay, I just noticed the hand thing, okay.
Jeff, were you gonna say something?
Yeah,
No.
please. I wanted to thank Angelique for doing it. It took a lot of courage to get in there and do the recording. So I'm very thankful for you for doing that. I think I reached out to Easthampton Media, and we were talking about it with Eli and Angelique. Is I think maybe putting the city logo or something at the beginning, just to say this is the city of Easthampton. And then I think we did talk about how there would be captions, so that there would be a running set of text with it. And I think once that's done, I think that we'd probably report out maybe actually. So we should probably talk about when we want to start to run this, because I think if we could make a few minor edits, I think this is a kind of a first phase. When we were talking through, there could be another opportunity this winter to get some folks out and do more hands-on recording of people in Easthampton, but that would be kind of phase 2. But I really think this would be great, on behalf of the commission, to get out, because we can share it on social media, and if we can get some additional coverage of it, I think it would be great to get it out sometime in early November. That's usually a safe time before it snows. But I just wanted to thank Angelique for doing it. It's great.
Thank you. Eli, did you want to say anything about doing the closed captioning or whatever you said you were going to do, the transcription?
I did say I was gonna do the captions, but I don't know that there's anything to say about it here.
Okay. All right. So, and then I think we were thinking next year to add some more to it or something, right, Eli? With the videos of.
Yeah, I was really hoping we could get some, we could get footage this winter to use in a like version 2 of the PSA. Right.
2.0.
Yeah. So footage of actual sites in Easthampton, right? Of of people trying to navigate the sidewalks where they're well cleared and where they're not well cleared, and what it looks like.
Jeff, do you know, can they, if we recorded stuff with our cell phone this winter, if we saw something, can they use that type of file, video?
That's a good question. I'm happy to ask Easthampton Media and see if that would help. Otherwise, it would be like a coordinated thing. I think we desire to get someone who's in a powered wheelchair, who's navigating the sidewalks. I think that's probably the most effective thing that you could put on video and then have in the PSA, but that would take all the timing would have to work out, and maybe I've heard that we're going to get more snow this winter than we did last winter. That was the problem that we ran into, is we just really didn't get a lot of snow last winter to coordinate that kind of stuff. But I think if we focus on getting this phase 1 first version out, then I think what Eli's suggesting we can do over this winter.
Did you see the video from Stan, though, with the motorized wheelchair?
I did. And I think it's
Okay.
great. I think it came from the city of Worcester, and everything about Worcester is just bigger, so they probably had more people and more opportunity to do that. But I do think that could be the model that we're kind of aiming for.
Okay. All right. If there's nothing more on that issue, the next one is the.
I just
Molly.
wanted to say, I think it's also important to highlight older people because, a lot of people like to walk. I know I walk all year round and there's sometimes I just can't walk on certain places because it's too slippery. So it's,
When you say highlight, do you mean
like
pictures?
maybe in the video, if you're going to be having specific instances, that might be another one to consider.
Yeah, so not just wheelchairs, but
Right.
yeah, but like, but people who use walkers or people who don't use any aids, but are just not very
They would
steady
be
up.
bad if they fell. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, Brown, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, I mean, black ice is horrible. I do wanna, I don't know. I don't know if this is the place for this or not, but I mean, I think the key is not just clearing in the initial shoveling, it's ongoing maintenance of the stuff.
Right.
And Jenny, did you want to speak up about maybe, you were saying, did you want to volunteer for maybe having yourself recorded getting around on the sidewalk? Did I hear you? Yeah.
Oh, that's
When you were
fantastic.
talking about a person in a chair trying to do that, Jenny's interested in maybe doing some of that.
Okay.
Good job, Whitney.
Thank you, Jenny.
Yeah.
Good job, Danny.
Could I say something?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, talking about that, I'm from Florida. I'm not used to winter.
Yeah.
At least suspending my license because I'm autistic. I will have no idea how to even do anything in the winter without
Okay.
a car. Like, I don't understand
Right.
how, like,
It's making me nervous. Yeah.
how do they not have help for people that don't have a license? So if they can take
Right.
them away. If they're gonna take the license away from you because of the.
Right. Which we'll talk about in a few minutes. Yeah.
Which, then how could they expect you to do anything?
In the snow.
In
Right.
the cold, I'm
Yeah.
like 70 degrees or something, like bubble up.
Right.
I'm freezing.
It is freezing right now.
Anything's freezing to me.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't understand.
Right.
I have a skateboard and I keep falling because that's all I have.
Okay.
And in the snow, I'm gonna
You're
die.
worried about how to get around snow.
I'm just gonna die.
Why not be
We won't
fly?
let you die.
Yeah.
Give me.
Okay.
Did he fly?
So the next thing, so Stan was gonna talk about the ASL stuff on Zoom, but he's not here. And then a couple more things, and then Rocky, we can do the public speak where you can chat with us.
Because of that, safety and safety. Scared.
Yes.
No.
So the pool area. Did you wanna?
No, I
you
was
have
just,
ideas? You were just reminding me.
right.
Okay, so the email I sent out about, Jeff Bag about the, playground and like the ADA accessible playground, or do you know what I'm talking about? Pool area and everything? That thing that was sent out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't recall the email that you're referring to, but the parks director the city got a grant. The park grant, it's a lot of money. It's $400,000, but the overall project around the pool is about $1.2 million. So the discussions that we've had is that this first grant is really important, and then John Mason, as the parks director, will be applying for another grant, I think in February, and that grant is for $750,000. And so when the two funding sources are together, then there's enough money to do the project. But what he had said when he was at your meeting last time is that sometime in the winter, probably, or early spring, when they're designing whatever the improvements are going to be, is that's when he'd come back to the commission to get input. I think that the ADA playground is at the end of the design process. So the pool was his first priority. And as soon as all the funding is together, then there's enough for that playground. So I think it would be in the winter or spring, the Parks Director should be coming back to talk with the commission about the design components. And then I guess just a side note is that there was a storm that blew through, a month ago, and it destroyed the small playground at the top of Nonotuck Park. And my understanding from John is that it's going to be replaced through the city's insurance, but there could be an opportunity to make that playground a little bit more ADA accessible when that's getting worked on. So I'll ask John if he has any updates on that, and if he is able to come to the commission probably this winter for that too. So those are kind of the updates that I have at this point.
Does the pool have accessibility features?
I remember when John was here to the commission, he said that the pool has a lift. So it's some kind of device that could get someone from the pool deck into the pool, so that someone who's using a wheelchair would sit in this device and put the person in the pool. So that exists, and that'll stay part of the pool project.
Cool.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Does anybody have any questions about that? This is just a card for Stan, just because he hasn't been able to make it to meetings and stuff. So if you want to sign it, you can. And then, so in terms of recruitment, we still have like 3 or 4 openings, and Rocky applied for it. So we'll see what happens there. And what else is on our list? The last thing. Yeah, that's the last thing, just the recruitment. Are there other issues that I didn't bring up that other people would want to talk about before we do public speak? Say it again.
Does anyone have an extra pen?
Oh, you can use my. Well done. Are there other
It's
issues?
hard for someone who has.
Somebody raised their hand, unknown. Eli says
Oh.
Not
Sorry,
on TV.
Oh,
Molly.
Molly. Yeah, go ahead, Molly.
Yeah.
What are we, is there some public thing we're doing for recruitment?
I just put messages out all the time, like a couple times a month in different groups.
Okay. So if as a member of the board, if I put something out on my Facebook account, would that be okay?
Yeah, you could send them to me.
Okay.
Yeah, and you could link to the commission's Facebook page as well.
Okay. Okay, great, thanks.
Yeah. Hold on just 1 second. Is that covered? Eli?
I think so.
And nobody else? Okay. You had a question. Why does the mayor get to decide? Because it's the mayor, like.
Why is the mayor?
Right.
One gets to decide.
So
what's to be on.
it has nothing to do with us. There's the city council also just.
Why?
That's the way, I mean, we're supposed to help the city and help the mayor run the city, so. I don't know. I really don't, I mean, go ahead.
Oh, I was saying, yeah, that's just how the process works in the law.
Yeah, so we get appointed by the mayor and city council.
Is that the mayor nominates you and the city council appoints you via their appointment
That is
subcommittee.
just Easthampton.
Yes, that's
There's
correct.
other towns that do that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Other way too.
yes, right. So
It should be.
Oh, thank you.
that what?
Committee, they decide.
This,
I mean, I see what you're saying.
Person.
Right, so it's not just one person, it's the city council
Good job.
that approves it. So that's like a group of
But it has to
people.
go through the mayor.
Right.
The mayor doesn't.
Yeah. Right,
So if she does it like someone or is.
right. So she does discuss it with me and with me and Eli. Like she doesn't have to include us, but sometimes she does include us I mean, that's just the way.
You heard about it?
Right, but so people don't have to notify us that they're applying, right? So like you've reached out to me, so I know sort of who you are, right? But there are other people who in the public just go directly to her, so.
There should be a more.
Right, so that's something, so,
that procedures can be changed.
right, to
Because
maybe
it's a
look
procedure.
at in the
Doesn't mean
future,
it's a-
Yeah,
right,
Right, it's a correct procedure.
yeah, it would involve changing the,
right,
the city
But
charter,
Just
I believe.
because.
I tell you.
a Charter
Right.
procedure, it does not.
and I understand that, but that's how it is right now, so like, right, so why do you not want the mayor to decide?
Because she does not come to the
Look,
meetings.
look.
Right,
So how can
Is that
she
you?
be the one to choose?
so she
No, I'm not
chooses for all, like, so she does it
That is
for,
the problem. She chooses for all of them.
for all, and so she does go to other meetings, so,
But that is the problem. She doesn't go to all of them and she's choosing for every.
right. So, I mean, that's something you could talk with her
every-
about,
That is
yeah.
part of the committee. You should have a voice about who they want to be.
I tell you. For you.
thank you.
Yep.
Yep,
And
so,
that is how all the boards I am on is on.
right, I do hear you, and that is something to look into. But there's no humanly way for the mayor to make it to every meeting, which would be,
That is why
yeah,
it should be.
Right.
You are doing an amazing job with this committee.
thank you.
There are amazing people here.
Yeah.
They should have a voice to say who they want on their.
Right,
board.
so I didn't say I don't have a voice, she does,
But is,
Okay.
is everyone on the? board?
okay, yes, so we can talk about that again. But you wanted to come for public speak, right? So in the future, public speak is like right in the beginning of the meeting, but I know you want to talk to us about sort of like what,
Just have. I
Had a hard time.
Wait to get around.
yeah, it's okay, I'm sorry, you had
And
to,
I keep falling and hurting myself.
oh, I'm sorry,
I just wanted to talk about how to keep the police accountable so they're not
right,
are
so you wanted,
harassing and targeting people with disabilities.
okay, so I can give you a few minutes. You're speaking very quietly though, so I don't know. Can you guys hear at home?
It's either use my device or that.
Would you mind like sitting
It's
closer
too
to
loud or
this?
Too quiet.
Or-
and
Could we just move
That's the.
I don't think
this
it's,
closer?
I don't have much to say. I don't have much to say. I just want to say that I think that there needs to be a way to keep the police accountable for harassing people just because of the disability.
right. So did you want to give context? Is
Yes,
that why?
well, my license was suspended and I have had it since I'm 18. My birthday was 4 days ago. I just turned 40. I
Yeah.
never had a problem before. I had my license in many states. And never had a problem. In New York, in New Jersey, Florida, I drove from Florida. My job is driving 40 to 50 miles a day, every day since I came to Massachusetts.
Right.
But only in Easthampton do they give me a problem because they memorize my license plate. They even say it when I got hurt, I heard them, oh, and he drives and says my license.
Yeah.
Because they have only seen me at my worst when I am here, is to not know how I am when I am working and how I really am.
Right,
And when I got pulled over, they do not understand communication is not what is basis of how you function and IQ. And is when I get nervous, will just repeat what they say. They do not know my idiosyncratic behaviors and how I present.
Yeah.
But it's just make an assumption. And it's just ruin my whole career now.
I know.
I have to self-report to my professional board and my job is saying is abandonment of job because I left for too long.
Okay, so do you mind if I fill in?
So it is so hard for people with autism to get a job originally.
Right.
I was homeless in Florida and my family kicked me out. I am transgender also. They do not accept it. I studied in the car during the pandemic for this test to become a BCBA so I could come here to have a life.
Yeah.
My clients love me and families, and my career has taken off. I am working on the state, with the state. I just got elected as an executive board member at large for Mass ABBA for the state. All the BCBAs in the state are a part of that.
Right.
And now they are removed because one officer did not understand me. I did not get a citation. I did not have an accident. I have now lost everything.
So you got pulled over and
For an
then you,
expired inspection sticker.
and then you had,
That was my fault, but he should have just given me a citation.
right. You said see you at your worst, so you felt triggered. And then,
They only see me when I am.
Yeah.
When they cause the sensory overload because they keep talking, I am going to tell them, BB, I just need to, I was stimming, he say is aggressive.
oh,
I was
Okay.
repeating him, echo is he say I am admitting.
okay. So I had written to the mayor
They don't
and
want
then
to hear it.
so did a social worker reach out to you?
She doesn't, nobody wants to hear it.
So you got the email too, right, Eli? Because you were on the top of it about setting up an appointment with the social worker that's in the police station.
Social worker
I
is not
don't-
helpful.
I don't remember.
So it's not a
that.
regular social worker. This is one that works at the police station.
Emma,
Yeah,
I'm sorry?
Emma, right, the CSO one.
We just.
She's the one who did it.
We need to get that.
She does not know me. She has less than 1 year experience, clinical experience. And she was telling me no about autism. I've been dealing with autism for 40 years and worked with kids with autism for 21 years. And she tells me no.
What's her name?
Emma Riley.
I don't know. If
Goodbye.
that's what-
She works
Oh,
with the
thank you.
kids.
Okay.
Not on for disability.
Okay.
Bye. Bye-bye.
goodbye. my
Bye.
friend. Have a
Okay,
good day.
so I guess,
You too, Patty.
so
That
typically,
is mental health, that is not
Right.
disability.
I'm really sorry that that's happening and
And tell me no about autism, like I don't know.
yeah, that's weird. That's not appropriate, yeah.
She has less than 1 year experience, clinical experience, and learned from a book of things is no more than me.
Okay, so are there, we'll have to talk to you more after the meeting.
I do not, I'm sorry.
No, don't be sorry. It's okay.
It's probably, it's no way to even advocate for yourself because I am alone.
I know. I'm glad that you're advocating for yourself.
But it's self-advocate. They tell me, Chief said, email me any questions. So I do. Did not say how many. I need to know how many is socially appropriate. Now he's saying I am to get arrested for harassment.
It's a lot.
But he did not tell me how many is too many.
Right,
We don't understand those things.
right. Yeah,
Even
you
my
need
job
some
knows I
guidance.
can send,
Yeah,
is able to send this many, or I need the rules, I need to be told exactly, or I do not know.
right. Yeah, if you guys have questions
I
or,
have a general question, and I'm sure, is it Rocky?
Yes.
Rocky is not alone. There's probably others who have been harassed. Is our police department trained on how
Under
to
mental
deal?
health. It is under crisis intervention mental health. I have been trying to get public records of their trainings and they refused to send it to me, but the lieutenant told me it is under mental health. That is the state minimum that they require.
okay,
So when they do it, they think it is mental health crisis, but it is very different.
okay.
It's not delusional thinking, it's not the.
Right.
Things is very different, present very different, and each person is more complex.
Eli, I have a question, and I might be off whack on this.
Mhm.
Wasn't there something that where they were going to have not police officers, but someone else work?
That's the social worker that he's saying he already spoke to.
But that is
She-
mental health, is it have less than 1 year experience in mental health, and is telling me I am wrong about all.
But I thought to help so that when Rocky got pulled over, things wouldn't escalate. The person was
She was
supposed to be
not
called to
Yeah.
the scene.
So I don't know
So they,
for,
I don't think they believe that he had disabilities and thought
No,
he was
they
aggressive.
say,
Yeah.
the first thing is right, is known as a person with autism.
yeah, so I don't
Before
know,
they ran my license, is we say, it never met me, they say is familiar with the person as having autism.
yeah, so I don't know if we're allowed to talk about this because of
Right.
the open meeting law,
Right.
but I can answer your questions after the meeting.
Yeah.
Is open meeting law, why would I not be allowed to?
No, you
So in
can, but we,
public speak,
And
but we
I,
can't.
So-
is have meetings, open
Yes.
meeting laws all the time.
so in meetings during public speak, you talk and we're not allowed
Yeah,
to
you are
talk.
not allowed to
Right.
speak, but I'm allowed to speak.
Yes,
Yes.
so,
Yes.
but we are interacting with you,
Oh,
so he's just
yes.
saying, you know, you didn't do
Oh.
anything, so he's just
Yes,
making
you are not
sure.
allowed to.
Right.
If it's not on the agenda, you are not allowed to speak about it.
I was just, my mind.
Not that it's not on the agenda,
Yes,
because I
if
knew
it's
you
on
were
the agenda,
coming.
then it's-
Right. Well, but
But-
it's not on the agenda, so, yeah.
Because it's not on the agenda, you are not allowed. I know no laws for that because I am on many committees.
Anyway, okay, so I'll end the meeting, and then if you wanna, if you're gonna still wanna talk, we can, those who can stay, then can chat with you. Okay, so are any other issues before we close out?
Next meeting,
I think November 1st, is it?
How can I get on the-
yep, November 1st.
Oh, yeah, before we close the meeting,
Yeah,
this Thursday at 10 a.m. at the Council on Aging is the vision impaired group meeting.
Oh.
Yeah.
Are you going to that?
I plan to go, yes.
Oh, good.
okay, so, if there's
Um,
not, yeah, go ahead.
Who? Me?
Were you gonna say something? Yeah,
Yeah.
Molly.
Mary, I can do the notes for you next meeting if you still need that.
Okay, as long as it's the 1st, I should be okay,
Okay, great.
you know. But maybe if the future, if something comes up and I'm sick or something, maybe you can back me up.
Sure.
Thank you.
All right, then I'm going to make a motion to adjourn the meeting, if that's okay with you guys.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right,
how do I get-
thank you guys at home.
This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.